on top of your head.
All right, let's go to work.
Some people say one batch after another is about revolutionaries. Some people say it ridicules revolutionaries. Some people say it's pro-immigration. Some say it isn't. But maybe that's the point. Maybe Paul Thomas Anderson created a film that relegated content and ridiculed characters to the point where it becomes easy to project your own reality to make meaning of the film. Maybe he created a film where the point is not what the story is about, but how the story is being told. A film that is just pure cinema. Pure cinema was an avant-garde film movement that gained ground during the peak of the silent film era. Pure cinematic filmmakers believed in making films using just the pure element of filmmaking, which are cinematography and editing. These filmmakers would often use different cinematic techniques, camera manipulation strategies, and editing to bring life to films. The aim was to simply reduce the adoption of literature and other forms of art in filmmaking as much as possible. But after the advent of sound in filmmaking, the influence of pure cinema started diminishing and films became dialogue heavy. However, there were filmmakers who were able to take a lot of the element of pure cinema and implement them fundamentally during the golden age of Hollywood. One of them was Alfred Hitchcock.
Now, the third way is what one might call pure cinematics, the assembly of film, and how it can be changed to create a different idea.
It wasn't that Alfred Hitchcock films didn't have dialogues. They did, but he saw them as secondary. He would often film dialogue scenes using close-up and waist shots that spotlight facial expressions of characters in a way that you could sometimes get a sense of what's happening, even without the dialogue.
I won't say a word.
How come?
I told you. It's a nice face.
Is that the only reason?
It's going to be a long night,
True.
and I don't particularly like the book I've started.
Ah.
You know what I mean?
Beyond that, he believed the form of a film is more important than the content of a film. He would often rely on pure cinematic techniques to create suspense and thematic experience more than he relied on plot techniques.
Boy. Kaplan.
So, to really understand pure cinema and how it is effectively used and not used in today's films, you really have to hear Alfred Hitchcock talk about it.
When you talk about putting bits of film together and then creating in terms of what you call pure cinema, the sequence that you're going for, I can imagine that it must have been a bit of a shock to you personally when talkies came, because in a sense you're talking almost about a classical technique, aren't you?
Well, the only thing wrong with the silent picture was that mouths opened and no sound came out. Unfortunately, when talk came in, the vulgarians, the money changers of the industry, immediately commenced to cash in by photographing stage plays. So that took the whole thing away from cinema completely. It's like a lot of films one sees today. Not that I see very many, but to me they're what I call photographs of people talking, and bears no relation to the art of the cinema. And the point is that the power of cinema in its purest form is so vast because it can go over the whole world. On a given night, a film can play in Tokyo, West Berlin, London, New York, and the same audience is responding emotionally to the same things. And no other medium can do this. The theatre doesn't do it because you've got different sets of people. But remember, in a film, they're the same actors. A book is translated. How well do we know? I don't know. The risk is in translating even a film, what they call dubbing, you know. Yeah. There's liable to be a loss, and therefore, when one's thinking of a film globally, the talk is reduced to a minimum, and if possible, tell the story visually and let the talk be part of the atmosphere.
One batch after another is a film that actually set out to create an experience by relying heavily on pure cinematic techniques. relegating plotline, and letting the talk be a part of the atmosphere. And here's how it did it. Good cinematography brings life to film. They beautify our theatrical experiences. But as John Waters once said, if you come out of a movie and the first thing you say is, the cinematography was beautiful, it's a bad movie. So, good films don't just use cinematography to beautify our theatrical experiences. They also use it as a tool for telling stories. But there's another category of films that uses cinematography not just as a tool for telling stories, but as a primary tool for telling stories. In this kind of film, the visuals are not just aiding the dialogue in driving the plot forward or reinforcing a particular theme about the story. The visuals are actually the primary drivers of the story, and the dialogues are most secondary. This category is where one battle after another belongs.
There's about 250, 275 people in there. It's hard to count. We need to be prepared for like 300 people by the time we get there, right?
When you watch one battle after another, something you would often notice is that dialogue scenes are filmed. In most of the scenes, the visual choices are usually either close-up shots or waist shots, and there's always a focus on facial expressions. Of course, using close-up shots in dialogue scenes isn't a new concept or something extraordinary, but in most films, close-up shots are meant to make those scenes feel alive and to make sure that the audience is not just hearing what the characters are saying, but also watching them say it. In one battle after another, it's kind of the opposite. Close-up shots are used to show the dynamics between two characters even before the dialogue does, or sometimes to show that the nature of an ongoing conversation between two characters is about to change before the dialogue changes. Sometimes, when the conversation is happening between two characters, the visuals are actually doing a better job of defining what the moment means than what the characters are saying. Take a look at this scene.
How was your journey from Rio Duarte?
Fine, sir.
You're doing great work down there.
Thank you very much, sir.
Each and every day is hand-to-hand combat in the spread of uncontrolled migration, isn't it?
Yes, it is, sir.
Yeah. Well, you want to save the planet, you start with immigration.
That's exactly right, sir.
You said that. A few years back after squatting Pebble.
What's happening in this scene is a fill-out meeting, like the first stage of a job interview, where it's just about letting you know they're interested in you, but mainly getting a sense of the chemistry and what it would feel like to work with you. We don't have any background for this scene. We don't know who the Christmas adventurers are. We don't know how important they've been historically. But before we even hear anyone say the word Christmas adventurers, we already get a sense of how prestigious the club is and how special it would be for someone like Steve Lockjaw to be a part of the club.
Colonel, I don't think I'm being immodest when I say that joining the Christmas Adventurers Club means that you are a superior man. No, not the best man, not the most intelligent, the most sophisticated, or the wisest. It just means that you are superior to other human beings, and you shall never want for riches or the greatest of friends.
The reactions are nervy. There's admiration. There's a certain kind of expression, like he's trying so hard not to mess up a dream moment. The close-up films in this scene reveal more about the Christmas adventurers than the plenty dialogues uttered. The shots are not just complementing the dialogues, they're telling a story. They're providing context that the dialogues aren't providing.
275 people in there. It's hard to count. We need to be prepared for like 300 people by the time we get there, right? Our cargo container, 18-wheeler, that thing only holds 160 people. I'm talking about...
When you listen to the conversation in this scene, you know they're making a plan not to carry out an attack and free the detained immigrants. But that's not the most relevant thing happening in this scene. The most relevant thing happening in this scene is shown in multiple close-up shots of these two characters. In just 5 shots, we've been shown that there's something between these two characters before we even knew anything else about them.
275 people in there. It's hard to count. We need to be prepared for like 300 people by the time we get there, right? Our cargo container, 18-wheeler, that thing only holds 160 people. I'm talking about...
This scene is fascinating, not just because it's a typical example of how this film renders dialogue and in general the content secondary, but also because it's a typical example of the Kuleshov effect, in the sense that from those two sequential shots of him glancing and not fixating, you can derive meaning from the interaction. Again, this is a film using visuals to plant a plot-relevant idea in the viewer's mind in a way that the dialogue isn't.
I'm Captain Stephen J. Lockjaw. My name is Perfidia Beverly Hills, and this is a declaration of war. We're here to right your wrongs, motherfucker. You got an army growing in your fucking guts, and you put it there. You didn't count on me. You didn't count on my fight. The message is clear. Free borders, free bodies, free choices, and free from fucking fear.
Sweet thing.
Editing is another component of pure cinema, mainly because you can create an idea or tell a story with multiple shots without using editing to assemble the shots in a way that helps you achieve what you're trying to do. But besides this fundamental use, editing can be used in a more prominent way in filmmaking, like leveraging it as an important tool for telling stories. One way of doing that is through montage. In Hollywood, montage is used as a technique for condensing a film's running time without detracting from the story. It allows a filmmaker to advance the plot or show character development without actually detailing every moment that leads to that point. We've all seen the cliches, right? Two characters are developing an affection, so the film uses montage to take us through that process. At the end of the montage, they are in love. Classic use case. And in one part after another, we can see this too. But when the film uses montage, and then uses montage, and it keeps using montage, there's usually a reason. And one part after another uses much more montage than you typically see in a film. Why? In the film, montage isn't just used to show a passage of time where the plot is advanced in an obvious way. It is also used to show that something that may not be obvious but is important to the plot is happening, but at the same time showing a passage of time.
Your mind is starting to erode. Good. DQ, W5. LPA, go ahead. This is happening on the ground through coordinated effort and strategic lines of resistance every day.
For instance, in this scene, we see a montage of Howard Somerville living his new life, and immediately we get a sense that it's about to be important to the plot. But until he got snatched, we weren't sure what would happen. Now, if you watch the montage, you see that while it is showing us what he's been up to over the years, it's also showing us that he's being watched.
This is happening on the ground through coordinated effort and strategic lines of resistance every day, working through dedicated teamwork to take it directly to the capitalist overlords who are extracting value from your life this very second. Go ahead. What you think this is Facebook? This is going to happen on your Instagram? It's going to happen on a hashtag somewhere? I think not. And don't forget, while you're doing it, that this is a nation that gives a
Filmmakers who rely on visuals to tell stories have strategies they use to communicate to the viewers that something is important. When the thing is a character, it's easier because they can just use close-ups or make the character the focus of the scene. But when it's an object, how do you communicate that an object is important? Alfred Hitchcock would often start by showing the expanse of the space to highlight its characteristics, like the size, whether it's clustered, or whether it's an open space, things like that. And then he would narrow the shot to focus on other elements that are important. It could be a human or an object. So when you see the film zooming on an object, know it's an important element. That same strategy was used in this scene.
every day, working through dedicated teamwork to take it directly to the capitalist overlords who are extracting value from your...
Another technique that pure cinematic filmmakers would often rely on is the dynamism of film cuts. Cutting is a very important cinematic technique because it's a storytelling tool that also happens to be one of the most assured ways to elevate theatrical experience. Cutting tells stories. Cutting also creates rhythm. One Battle After Another is a masterclass in film editing, primarily because of how easy it's cutting. There's a rhythm to the whole film. It is fast, and then it slows down, and then it is fast. Andy Jorgensen, the editor of the film, has done a good job explaining how intentional the editing was and how they were actively trying to create a sense of reading throughout the entire film. One thing that stands out is the use of cross-cutting. The film uses cross-cutting to create reading and to constantly jump between moments and location in a way that disrupts our wider sense of space and time. In one of my favorite scenes in the film, the editing is simultaneously doing all three key things editing can do in a film. It is telling a story by watching them attack the camp and free the immigrants. At the same time, it is creating a reading.
Wake up.
It also contains multiple actions that are happening within the same scene.
Copy that.
At the same time, it is prolonging certain actions to highlight dynamics that will be important to the plot. Ultimately, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Because the reason why the scene is able to create a reading is by disrupting our real world sense of space and time continuum. And the reason why it's able to do that is because that's still a part of the story in a quick and dynamic way. So, we get a film that uses a blend of cinematography and editing to tell a story in a way that talking is secondary. But it isn't just the talking that is secondary.
I put myself first and I reject your lack of originality.
Come on, lack of original. Will you stop with all this bullshit?
The first time I watched one part after another, I couldn't make sense of it. I couldn't point out exactly what the film was trying to do. Was it a film about the revolutionary spirit in people and how it always exists? Or was it a film about the great class divide and its interconnection with racism? Or was it just a film about the relationship between the father and his daughter? I wasn't sure, but I knew there was something about how the film was made. And then I watched it, and I was like, oh wait, there's really something about how the film was made. But the content, I still wasn't sure. I mean, I haven't read Vineland, nor am I Wesley Morris, so that could just be my own limitation. But one thing was obvious, the parody. It's like the film is somehow mocking extremism.
Are you having trouble remembering what you just read? If it's a straight line, I have a problem. If it's not, you have to let me go. God, there's no way I'm actually yours because I can actually fucking read.
Shut up! Just shut up! You fucking nut!
There's certain aspects of the acting that feel like they're parodying elements of what they're supposed to be. Tiana Taylor is parodying a revolutionary. Leonardo DiCaprio is parodying wokeness. And Sean Penn is parodying a white supremacist. But beyond that, it feels like generally, Paul Thomas Anderson is using the actors purely as elements to create an experience where they are not the main act. Typically, a filmmaker relies on actors to model attributes of characters everything, and then the acting is used as a primary way to create an experience. While creating this experience, other elements of filmmaking, like cinematography and editing, are used as tools to support the acting. In one battle after another, it's the opposite. It's not that the acting wasn't essential, it was. I know the actors and actresses showed up and absolutely killed their roles, but it felt like the form of the film as an independent art form was dictating and calling upon the acting as a tool to help create an experience. In moments when it needs character embodiment, it calls upon character acting, and we get scenes like this.
Yes, it is, sir.
Yeah. Well, you want to save the planet, you start with immigration.
That's exactly right, sir.
You said that. A few years back after squatting Pebble.
And in moments when it needs to evoke certain reactions from the viewers, it calls upon improvisation, and we get scenes like this.
Lift your shirt and turn around. Put your hands on top of your head.
Ultimately, the form of the film is a vessel through which the theatrical experience is being created, and every other element is just falling into place as the story goes on. It is pure cinema. If you enjoy watching this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I really can't overstate how valuable your subscription is to this channel. This is a new channel, and at this point, every subscription matters. Thanks for watching.